Śrīmān
Devashis Prabhu.
My light.
You are live.
Oh, I'm live, okay. Yes, I'm glad to hear
Live
that.
and alive.
Yeah. Good to be alive. I don't prepare to speak.
Question.
Yes.
When Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Maharaj speaks about angels, who is he referring to actually?
When you mean to say when he says follow the angels?
Yeah, or something.
He means the saints, the spiritual beacons. That Srila Maharaj has a number of recurring subjects or themes that he speaks about, and that was always one of them. So we hear that quite often from Guru Maharaj, but it isn't Guru Maharaj's. It is not his original quote. It's an English quote, well known, like English proverb: "Fools rush in where angels fear to tread." So, but Guru Maharaj is one of those things that he liked, so he would often quote that. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. In other words, and then he says, so we should follow the angels, not be foolish. And as Srila Govinda Maharaj would often say, to rush into the higher things without being qualified for that, then the result is you spoil your own fortune, because it's considered offensive. In the higher realm, it's considered offensive for someone from the lower side to try to force their way into the higher side. Rather, those things should descend upon us, not that we should try to navigate our way there, or to satisfy our curiosity or anything. But what Guru Maharaj says is that if you do that, there'll be a mark against you, and in the final analysis, you will be that will you can say hamper your progress in spiritual life, to be too eager for that which you're not qualified. So Guru Maharaj would say, quoting Saraswati Thakur, first deserve, then desire. So first thing is to make yourself fit for those things as much as is possible for us. And that, of course, is a difficult thing. It's a dichotomy, it's a peculiarity, that bhakti can only be detected in others, not in ourselves. We see the reality of bhakti through the advancement of our God brothers and sisters. When we see that happening in them, then that makes it real for us. But if Guru Maharaj would say, but if you think that you've got it, then that means you're very far away from it. And a real devotee will never see that, say that. So just reading the other day, Guru Maharaj saying that he gave a lecture, and at the beginning of it was with the assembly of the followers of Madhvacharya. So, and Guru Maharaj was made, like the president of that assembly for that function. So he introduced it. He was like the MC, the master of ceremonies, and he introduced it by giving a short talk. And there he's saying that we have to consider ourselves to be the most lowly and the most humble and most undeserving. He said then when the Acharya of that mission, when he came to speak, he more or less belittled that conception, saying what value is there for us if we make ourselves meek and humble, and then how will we ever receive anything of a high thing? So then Guru Maharaj, again, he in the close of that, he had to speak again, and in there he said, that actually anyone who's in genuine connection with the higher reality or with divinity, they cannot but consider themselves to be small. And that's even true here in this material world. People say, for example, someone, a friend of mine just recently, he and his wife, they visited the Grand Canyon and in America, and he's saying there that you just cannot conceive how vast it is. It's just incredible. And when you're next to that, you cannot but help feel that you're very tiny, So then that's also, when anyone has a genuine connection with the infinite, they must know themselves to be very small and finite. So this is the whole difficulty. Our ego makes us think that we're vastly important, and that in itself is, just demonstrably ridiculous. Because from our perspective, this universe is it is infinite, approximately infinite, you can say. Just this universe, but this universe is just one universe amongst many, and even the scientists say that, within our solar system, then, to get to the end of our solar system is like beyond our capability or even imagination. And then what's more after that? Unlimited other solar systems and universal things even within our perception, if you like. They can see galaxies far away, and how long it would take even the Starship Enterprise to get to one of those galaxies. This is just beyond human calculation. But still, we're here on this tiny little blue planet, thinking that we're very significant, and that what we have to say is very important, and people need to recognize who we are and who my father was and what my qualifications are and all of these things, So, and it's laughable, really. Where are you going?
Get you something to
Oh. Thought I'd said something to frighten her off. So yes, we're.
Can I answer a question?
Yeah, of course.
So what is our stand on people having psychic ability? Is it something that just comes within them, or is it angels talking to them?
Well, no, there's many schools of thought on that. So, but no, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily angels speaking to them, or their spirit guide or whatever. It's just a matter of perception. I believe that it's natural for human beings to be able to communicate on a psychic level, and the reason we don't and that we can't is because from quite a young age we put up barriers to that, and the biggest barrier to that is the fact that we have this tendency to deceive others, and also to deceive ourselves. So that means that we're not thoroughly honest. And so we don't want other people to perceive that within us. So we make a barrier. And that barrier means that stops people from being able to communicate with each other on the psychic level. Those who are who don't have that, they're more able to do that as a natural function. And also I think that, our natural abilities, they diminish, especially in Kali Yuga. In previous ages, people were able to do many things which we would consider to be miraculous today. And they could perceive many things. It's recorded in the scripture. And the scriptures are recordings of the thoughts of the sages of previous times. They're not mythology. They're not things that are just made up. They're things that actually are true, but not from the present time. So there we see that many people were able to perceive things that we're not able to perceive today. They were able to do things that we're not able to do today. The fact that we think that those things would be miraculous today, but in previous ages they were very commonplace.
So following that up, the bodies are the same as they were before. So how can we, living in Kali Yuga, go back to that memory?
No. It's just a symptom of the age that we live in. It's not. It's just not possible for the majority of people. It's not even within the realm of possibility. And for those who are able to do those things, they're considered to be extraordinary. That's considered to be an extraordinary thing. Magicians, wizards, or they're revered, and at the same time belittled also. In our society, there are those sections that revere those things as being, some extraordinary phenomenon, and then there are other people who just poo-poo that and think it's nonsense anyway, So, but we don't have to be concerned with that, because human life isn't for that. Human life is for discovering what is your real necessity and your real purpose. And that doesn't change wherever you find yourself, in whatever time you find yourself, in present time, in past, in different ages, or even in different atmospheres, meaning, different planets, or the necessity is the same. The necessity is for the living beings to realize their eternal relationship with God. Then you become in sync with the fundamental and transcendental wave of reality. You become in sync with that, and therefore all of those things that we consider to be extraordinary and impossible, they become just available to you at your fingertips. Not that if you desire those things, that in itself is a bar for attaining those things. When you don't desire those things, when you desire fundamental spiritual connection with reality, then all of those things come to serve you as they're meant to. But to desire those things in themselves is a bar to receiving those gifts, if you like, because they in themselves are not our purpose, not our goal. They're just instruments that may be helpful to us at a particular time. And those who are already connected with that plane of reality. All of those things are just there at their fingertips. It's difficult for us to, first of all, to ascertain what it is that we really need. Because our Param Guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says, as soon as the living being enters into the realm of time and space, the very things that are alien to its nature become its greatest necessities. So that's called Maya. Maya makes us believe that we need so many things, subtle and gross things. And for most of us, we get fully immersed in that. Everyone desires wealth, and everyone desires comfort and convenience. And these things are there at bar to our real necessity in life. So, and everyone's under that idea, and we're taught that from our childhood. When we're at school, we're taught that by our teachers, we're taught that by our family, our parents, we're taught that by the politicians, we're taught that everyone needs to strive for material prosperity. If you can be prosperous and you can be free, means free to do whatever you want, then that equals happiness. This is the equation that most people think is reality, but it's actually not true. As our Guru Maharaj say, you see, the idea is to be free, to be a slave of your senses. But we propose to be free from our senses, free from the dictation of our senses. That's the misconception, that we think that we need to fulfill all of our sensual needs. To be able to eat something, taste something nice, to touch something pleasurable, to smell something which we find pleasing, to see something beautiful. All of those things, they're all the objects of the senses, and we think that fulfilling that means that you're successful in life. If you have the facility to do all those things. So, then, and everyone thinks that money, that's the answer to getting all of those things. So everybody's striving for that at the cost of everything else. So much so that people judge you based on the level of your wealth. They think that that's what defines who you are. In our culture, that's what people consider to be the most important thing. And you find that especially, and I don't mean any disrespect to our transatlantic cousins, but you see that especially in America. If you meet somebody, the first thing they say to you, what do you do? They don't ask about who you are or, what do you do? And that means, what's your job, what's your position, what's your qualification, all of those things. What do you do? That defines you. Oh, I'm a doctor, oh, very good, tick. I'm a lawyer, very good, tick. All of these things. They judge you on that. But it is true that if you have nothing, then to raise yourself up a little financially is helpful. When Tony Blair became the Prime Minister of the UK, New Labour was meant to be the new way forward, everything. And he appointed from the House of Lords one of the Lords to be the happiness czar. And his remit was find out what makes people happy. And that's what we as a government should be doing, is making people happy. And if people are happy and prosperous, and that's a good government. This was his idea. So then then the happiness czar, he researched that. Then his, when he had to report back as to, what were his findings. His findings were that, yes, if people are in poverty, to give them some money to raise them up. Like if you're in the gutter, you got nothing to eat and nowhere to live and not clothes on your back, give that person some money, then they can do those things, basic things. The basic necessities that we have in life, somewhere to live, something to eat, some clothing and so on. That's good, then that's good. But then the equation stops there, actually. His finding was, just increasing people's wealth doesn't increase their happiness after that point. In fact, in many cases, has the opposite effect. And we see that. There are many histories of that in recent times. People winning the lottery, or when I was a kid, it was people winning the pools. Before the lottery, it used to be the pools. They used to bet on football matches. My father used to do that every week. A man would come round and he'd give him the pools, I don't really know how it works, but anyway. So, someone wins the pool, somebody wins the lottery, somebody does that. And then you find, if you look into what happened in their life, they go crazy with that money and end up in a worse situation than when they were, before they won the pools or won the lottery. They don't know what to do. And you see, that's the same thing that you find in our society now. You get these young lads who are quite good at playing football, and suddenly they're getting paid millions, like every week, to play football. And they got all that money, they don't know what to do with it, do they? And then you see some scandal in the newspaper, they did this, or they did that, or some horrible thing, and because they got more money than they know what to do with. So, then that was, this actor, comedian, Jim Carrey. He said, I wish that everybody could get everything that they desire in life, so that they would realize that that's not what is the important thing. That's not actually what success means. Here's somebody who is financially successful, famous, all of these things, and he's saying, I had all that, but it didn't make me happy. And it won't make you happy either, There's a difference between real happiness and, like a transitory rush of blood, that you get. Like if one of us suddenly realized that we'd won the lottery, the big jackpot, we'd be ecstatic, wouldn't we? We'd be dancing around. Yeah, that's fantastic, but how long will that last? How long will that last? Then, of course, you have to do the lottery to win the lottery. But don't think that, don't believe those emails that say, your email address has been chosen, and we've entered you in the lottery and you've won. Please just send us this processing fee. It's not real. Nobody gives that away. One of our devotees did that. She told me one day, oh yeah, I got this email saying I'd won the Euro Millions, the lottery. And I said, oh, did you enter it? And she said, no, they took my email address and entered that, like amongst others. And it came up and I won. And I said, oh, okay. And then she said, and I just have to send them like £96, like a processing fee, and they're going to release like those millions of pounds. And I said, oh, you didn't send it, did you? Yeah, I sent it. I said, oh, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but that you won't see that money again, and you certainly won't see any winnings, because it just doesn't happen. People don't give money away. So, the old adage is, if it seems too good to be true, it's because it is too good to be true. There are no get-rich-quick schemes. And if somebody convinces you that there is, it's the people who set up those get-rich schemes that get rich, not you or I. You just end up with a garage full of stuff that you don't want because you can't sell it to your friends and neighbours. Anyhow. And there are a million different things that will be presented to you that you'll think that you need to be happy in life. All kinds of things. There's no end to it. And if you believe it, you just run after those things, and then you find, in the end, it was just a con. There was just people out there to cheat you, and that's very clear that there are plenty of people willing to take your money. Not only willing to take your money, want to take your money. They'll ring you up on your telephone and tell you they've got some special news for you. And just don't, there's no point in believing any of that, because none of it's true. And even if it were true, that won't give you satisfaction. It's all just part of the material world. So in this material world, sometimes we're kings and queens, and sometimes we're beggars. And that can happen in your own lifetime. That can happen. You see, right? What was that fella's name? Saddam Hussein, right? He's the king of his country. He's got loads of palaces. He's got everything that he can want is for him and his whole family. And what happened? He ended up living in a hole in the ground, wasn't it? He was hiding in a hole in the ground, like a fox or something. And the American army found him down there, living like an animal. So that can happen in one life easily, from one extreme to the other, So we don't want to, as Lord Jesus said, don't store your riches where rust and moth can corrupt them, but store your wealth in the house of the Lord. So in other words, that means your only real wealth is your spiritual wealth. Everything else will come and go. As according to your karma, that will come and go. That's already predestined. It's coming for you. If it's your karma to be rich, you'll be rich. If it's your karma to be poor, you'll be poor. If it's your karma to suffer, you'll suffer. If it's your karma to enjoy, you'll enjoy. Nothing you can do to change that significantly. So, then this we heard from our Param Guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. There's nothing you can do to bring about the fruit of your karma. It's coming. There's nothing you can do to make that happen. It's already coming. And similarly, there's nothing you can do to stop that happening. It's coming. Good or bad. So then he says, so don't waste your time with that. It's coming already, it's coming. It's already predestined for you in this life. This much enjoyment, this much suffering. For most of us, it's a mixture of the two. Nobody wants suffering, but suffering comes nevertheless, doesn't it? One day we're walking along without a care in the world, and the next thing, you get knocked over by a bus, or, you get some news through the post. So, just like my mother called me yesterday, oh, your Uncle Ken just died, Oh, okay, sorry to hear that. How old was he? 89. He was 89. Okay, well, not a surprise there, really. But, these things, they always come to beat us down a little bit more. But depending on how you react to that. And it's not the thing itself which is good or bad, it's how you react to it which is important. So you can see that, oh, my Uncle Ken, and where are you, what happened, like crying. Or you can just see that, oh no, everyone without exception enters into the jaws of death. Then we should be a bit more serious about our life. We find this in Mahabharata. Maharaj Yudhisthira, he finds himself at the lake of death, right there. His brothers have gone before them to try and find water. He gets there, arrives at the lake. All his brothers are there. They're all dead. And he goes to drink some water. He's parched. And a voice comes. Though I'm the guardian of this lake, you cannot drink water here unless I give my permission. Your brothers all did. They're all dead. Now, you answer my questions before you drink the water. Then Yudhisthira said, okay, what are your questions? He asked 100 questions. It was a yaksha who turned out to be Dharmaraj, Yudhisthira's father, celestial father. But in disguise, and he's testing him, 100 different questions. They're very insightful if you read those in Mahabharata. Well, one of the questions was, what is amazing? This was his question. What is amazing? And Yudhisthira Maharaj's reply was, what is amazing that everyone sees that at every moment, everyone entering into the jaws of death. Mother, father, son, daughter, everyone. No one exempt from that. Everyone is entering at every moment into the jaws of death. And the amazing thing is that everyone is, even seeing that, everyone's thinking, but I'll live forever. Or at least acting like I'll live forever. Yes, death is coming, but not today, so eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we may die. But it's an amazing thing, because we all act as if that's never going to happen. We all act like that, and we do not know when is the moment of your death. You do not know. You may be happy and healthy and, like full of the joys of youth, and walk out and get killed by a bus or, something like that. The comedian, I'm just injecting this, the comedian Spike Milligan, he said, when I go, I want to go like my father in his sleep, not like the passengers in his car screaming. So, we don't know when death will come. Nobody knows that. But we behave like it's never coming. We have nothing to think about our future. Especially when you're young. When you're young, you think you're immortal. Don't have to think about that at all. When I first came to London, my first job was selling insurance to college students. Can you imagine? When I was at college, all I wanted to do was enjoy myself. No one's going to convince me to take out a life insurance policy. I'm living forever. I'm going to enjoy forever. That was a hard job, I can tell you. I didn't last very long at that. But there you are. But when you get older, you get a little bit more. Well, maybe I should take out an insurance policy. At least to cover my funeral, because that can be ridiculous, the amount of money. Everything, they make a business out of everything, isn't it? And the whole industry surrounding death. I think they say that your average funeral costs about £3,000. It's a lot of money, isn't it? So people think, I better put some, get a life insurance policy to pay for that. And that's not a new thing. You know that my father was in the Navy, and the tradition in the Navy was to get to have gold teeth. You have a couple of gold teeth, and the idea was that that tooth would pay for your funeral if you died. That's where it came from. So anyway, just enough money for that. So, but when you're young, you don't think about that. You're just thinking, we're going to live forever, you know, charging around without a care in the world. And it's true, you know, when I was young, I used to do that, what they call it, free climbing. You're climbing mountains, you don't even have a rope attached to the side, you know, you're like out on a limb. I used to do that. Now I get dizzy if I stand on the chair. Things change, but you know, it never really crossed my mind. I must admit there were a few times when I was out there and I didn't know where I'm going next, you know. Don't know how to go up and can't go back down. And you just like sit just there sweating, thinking, oh, is this the end? I don't know, maybe this is the end, but then you see something and you kind of make a leap and you manage to, I'm still here to tell you the tale, you know. So.
Angels.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. So, anyway, we have to be a little bit sober about what our life is about and what it's meant for. It's not just about, you know, getting a bigger house or a bigger car or, you know, a bigger TV or, what is it, Joni Mitchell says, there must be more to living than a mortgage and a lawn to mow. So most people think that's what life's all about, right? Mortgage and a lawn to mow. And everyone's queuing up for it. No one even stops to think, what does that word mean, mortgage? It's a French word, it means the noose of death. That's the meaning of the literal meaning of the word, mortgage. And we're all going, please, sign me up for one of those, please, you know. No, I've made it, I've got a mortgage, you know. So.
But nobody knows that we are not the enjoyer. Nobody
right.
knows that. If you say.
No, but actually, the fact is that the living being by nature is a pleasure seeker. Can't avoid that. It's just that we think that our enjoyment will be found in external things. And Guru Maharaj says, in finding things lower than ourselves that we can have command over. People to serve us and things that we can utilize. This is our material disease. Everybody's looking for that. Everybody's thinking, yeah, if I win that lottery, yeah, I'll employ a cook. I'll employ my brother-in-law. When he retired at 53. And at that time, he was listed in the Forbes top 50 wealthiest men in the country. And he's got a lovely house in Surbiton. And he has a gardener that comes and keeps his garden for him. And he has people come to clean. He doesn't clean the house. Some people come and his wife doesn't clean the house. Someone else comes and cleans the house. And you know that. And he thinks this is like success in life, is these things. And, you know, fair dues to him. He's a very generous man. He's helped me out many times in my life. But he would be considered a success in life. He would be considered a success. But he has no spiritual aspiration or spiritual vision at all, you know. This is it. This life, one life. And that we're going to... I'll do everything I can to make myself as comfortable as possible with as little inconvenience as possible in my life. And I love him dearly, but his home office is bigger than my whole house. So, you know, then I remember when we went there, the first time we went to visit the new house, and I'm going, my daughter, she was maybe 4 years old then, 3 or 4 years old. And we went into the house and they got this carpet, which must be this thick, When you walk on it, it's like walking on a cloud. And it's pure wool, the whole, pure wool. Must have cost an absolute fortune. And the first thing that my daughter did was peed on it. And he was just, I saw his face, he was just trying not to be like furious with her. It's his niece, so he can't, and she's just a little girl. He can't say anything, but I could see his face, he was furious. So, this is what happens when you have these things.
You also become less tolerant.
Yeah, of course, because you don't want anyone to take that away from you, Sorry, you were...
Yeah, it's so fascinating, that question of like the fact that we never are aware of this fact that we're moving towards the jaws of death, right? So we constantly forget it.
Yeah.
How can we maintain a sense of urgency in our lives, right? It's like...
Well, I don't know, actually, that's the thing. Kunti Devi, she prays to Krishna. When everything's going well, going good, we don't remember you, we forget about you.
Yes.
So, but when we're in a difficult situation, that's when we remember you. So Kunti Devi says, bring it on, I want more calamity in my life so that I can remember you. So, this was when Narad came to Yudhisthira Maharaj, and he wants to say, you're the greatest devotees of Krishna. We find this in Brihad Bhagavatamritam. Narad comes to the Pandavas. Yudhisthira, Krishna live with you like your family member. Arjuna, his bosom friend, and then you're the greatest devotee of Krishna. And Yudhisthira said, oh, Narad, don't say that. If you tell the people that we're the greatest devotees of Krishna, no one will become a devotee of Krishna, because look at all the things that happened to us. First of all, then they gave Bhimsen a poison cake, right? And from that poison, he fell into a river, and any normal person would have drowned. But it just happened that where he fell, the river was full of snakes. And those snakes, they started biting him. And the venom from those snakes, the poison in that venom, happened to be the antidote to the poison in the cake. So then he came to back to his senses. The antidote's working with him. But then he sees, all these serpents, they're all biting me. So he just starts killing all these snakes that are biting him. It just happens that area, right, was the entrance to the subterranean world of the serpents, where Vasuki, he's the king there. So they go to him and they say, oh, the Pandava Bhimsen, he's like killing so many of the serpents, well, you can't do anything to stop him. And we've tried biting him, but he just seems to get stronger from that, So then he says, oh, yes, I want to see him. Vasuki. So he calls Bhimsen there, and Bhimsen comes, and when he realizes he's in the presence of Vasuki, and then Vasuki asks him, please stop killing the snakes. Okay. And then he gives him a gift. He gives him some elixir. So the Kshatriya warriors in that age, the greatest of the warriors, they were known as Maharatis. And a Maharati means that they have the strength of 1,000 elephants. Literally. This is like unimaginable that someone could have a human being could have that kind of strength, right? But Bhimsen, when he drank that potion given to him by Vasuki, he became he became so strong, the strength of 10,000 elephants. Then he's like Superman now, you know. It's like, then they called him Bhimarati, because no one else had that amount of strength. There's Maharatis, they're like 10 a penny, but no one's Bhimarati. 10,000 elephants strength of that, you know. So, but anyway, that was one. The other was they were given like a holiday home, and then that was made of lac, and that was burnt down, and they thought that they'd all been killed in that. They left some bodies there, and like so many terrible things happened to the Pandavas. They had to live in exile. They had to, in 1 year they had to hide for 1 year and not be discovered. So, all these things happen, and then Kunti Devi, she's saying, in these times, we think about you. Is that we know only you can save us. What happened to Draupadi, the Vastraharana of Draupadi? When she realized that nothing else, no one's coming to save her, that even Bhimarati is not going to come and save her from this disrobing, this dishonor, looking to Bhishma, looking to Drona, and none of them they're just looking to the floor. They won't support her. Then she realized no other alternative. I have to call Krishna. Krishna's not even there. He's somewhere else. Geographically, he's not even there. But she began, first of all, holding her cloth, and then with one arm calling to Krishna. And then she realized, I'm not strong enough, this Dushashan. He's a Maharati. He has the strength of 1,000 elephants. I'm not going to be able to fight him if he wants to pull off my cloth. Then, so both arms, and she began calling Krishna. And then Guru Maharaj said, when Krishna heard, hey, Gopi Jana Balaba, this name, lover of the gopis, when he heard that, he couldn't resist, must come and provide her with unlimited cloth. And then, and this is actually, Guru Maharaj said, this is the highest part of Mahabharata. Even higher than Gita is the Vastraharana of Draupadi. And because actually you don't find any other mention of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela in Mahabharata. But this is directly referring, Gopi Jana Balaba, you are the lover of the Braja Gopis. And her surrender to Krishna. So these things happen when we have difficulty in our life. When everything's going, zippity-doo-dah, and everything...
When is that?
Then if we think of Krishna, it's like, thanks Krishna, this is great. But no thought of surrender. But when things are difficult, when things are tragic in our life, then we get the impetus to call to Krishna. They used to say, during the First World War, they used to say, there are no atheists in the trenches. This is so hellish for those soldiers. They're all praying, please Lord, get me out of here. And back home, their wives, their mothers, they're playing, please bring my son, please bring my husband home safely. So, if you're up for that, but who will give preference to that than to enjoying life? Everyone wants to enjoy life, don't they, Then maybe you'll get that. Maybe you'll get happiness and fulfillment and enjoyment and health and wealth and a cottage by the sea. Om Jai Jagadisha Hari. Maybe you'll get all that, but you won't get Krishna. So, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his prescription is slow and sure wins the race. Just keep going, slowly, surely, on the path. You can say this is the standard method. But there's also the revolutionary method. And Guru Maharaj said, this is the program of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Throw yourself into the fire of sacrifice for the service of the Lord. And even if you can't maintain that, how much advancement in spiritual life you'll make just in the attempt. So both parts are there, you see. The standard method, slow but sure, wins the race. Or the revolutionary method, when you get the opportunity to jump into the infinite. If you have courage, you can jump. And don't fear that you're jumping into the unknown. You know, what they call a leap of faith, right? If you have that faith, you can jump into the infinite. And you won't be, Guru Maharaj said, you won't be taken down a dark alleyway and stabbed in the back. You have to have faith that you know where the direction you're going, where you're jumping to, the Lord will catch you, the Lord will embrace you. And Guru Maharaj, our Guru Maharaj, he's from a family, Bhattacharya family, from Hapania in Gaurāṅga in West Bengal, where his village, Hapania village, so before the partition, and things changed after the partition, he said, but before that, only Brahmins lived in that village. And although it's in Bengal, their conversation was in Sanskrit. And Guru Maharaj came from a very his family were the head family of that village. Hapania means sweet water, and that's because it was famous for the sweet coconuts that grew there, the water of the coconut. Hapania. Then Guru Maharaj's father, he was a Smarta, and Guru Maharaj said he hated Mahaprabhu. The Smartas hated Mahaprabhu because they thought that he's ruined our society, where everybody mixes together. Previously, Brahmins mix with Brahmins, and Vaishyas mix with Vaishyas, and never the two. They wouldn't eat together. Like when Rajput kings, when they would send their sons to study at Oxford University, they had to send a Brahmin cook with them, as they can't eat, from the cafeteria or something like that. They have to have a Brahmin cook that comes with them and cooks it. Society was like that in India at that time. But Mahaprabhu, and so there wasn't mixing of the different castes. But Mahaprabhu didn't accept that. He didn't accept casteism. He didn't accept this idea that this one's untouchable, and he rejected that untouchability. Vaishnava is above the Varna and Ashram. So, and
it was already so corrupt. He saw that.
Well, that's another thing, yeah. But still, the society was formed in a particular way, and Mahaprabhu, although he rejected that, he didn't make it his mission to change that. That was still largely how it was, but generally, by his influence, those things naturally changed. But the Smartas is a little bit like the feudal system that was existent here in Britain, that the higher, we had our own caste system, and the higher castes means the clergy from the church and the nobility, they ruled because they were educated. And they made it their job to keep the lower classes uneducated, because knowledge is power, right? The lower castes, if you like, the labourers and so on, and the farmers and all that, they can't even write their name mostly. So if they want anything like that, they have to go to the higher. The same thing in India, right? The Brahmins, they're the educated class. You have to go to them for the, and the Kshatriya, they're like the noble class, the administrators and so on. So then Guru Maharaj would say, he said, my mother's family, they had appreciation of Mahaprabhu. And he said, I learnt about Mahaprabhu from my mother's side, my aunts and others. And he said, but my father, he was a smarter, he didn't like Mahaprabhu. And he said, so he was raised in a particular way. And he would say, even now I feel that I'm in the vanguard of the rebels. Like, what he was doing was a rebellion for his own, to his own culture. Because Mahaprabhu wanted to establish a different spiritual culture. Anyhow, why was I saying that? What was that about? What were we talking about before then?
Related to this desperate, the feeling of desperation.
Yeah, so anyway, so...
The Pandavas and Yudhishthira.
Yeah, so yes, if you... Sometimes the Lord gives us some trials and difficulties in our life so that we can turn to Him. And we can take that as being something that we should cry about. All the things that go wrong in our life. We can cry and feel so much self-pity. Or we can see that as something to bring us closer to the Lord, to make our dependence on the Lord more real. That's when you get to realize who you are in times of difficulty, not in times of comfort and convenience. When things get difficult, that's when you find out who you actually are. What is your, we can speak about all these things. But when can we prove that to ourselves that this is real? When there's some difficulty in our life. Is it just what we've learned and everything, is it just lip deep? Or is it actually part of who we are? That whatever happens, in whatever circumstance, we try to surrender to the Lord. So, how much we can keep ourselves in that consciousness is difficult. Because we are all small. We are all, wanting. And our resolve is also small. What does it say in the Bible? The soul is willing, but the flesh is weak. Right? That's actually very true. We know what we have to do. But sometimes we don't want to do that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gave this four kinds of anarthas for the jiva soul, struggling in the world. The first one is misidentification of the self. That means thinking you're the body, thinking that you belong to a particular country or a particular religion or a particular... That sounds like an engine, like a plane getting ready to take off. So that's the first thing, misidentification of the self. We all know that one, right? Thinking I'm a man, thinking I'm a woman, thinking I'm an Englishman, thinking I'm an Indian, thinking I'm an American, thinking I'm black, thinking... all these things. Misidentification of the self. We're none of those things.
Ego.
That's the first anartha. The second anartha is offenses, aparad. That in our attempt, spiritual attempt, we make offense to each other, we make offense to the, in the practice of devotion and so on, offenses to that. Then the third is desire for the things of this material world. We desire wealth and comfort and convenience and so-called success in this world, So one of our devotees, been around for a long time, and he decided to leave the temple and go do something else. And I said, why you're doing that, Prabhu? He said, got to follow my dreams. Got to follow my dreams. And I thought, this is what have you been reading all these years? Dream means Maya. Ultimately, it means Maya, right? A dream. I want to be rich. I want to be famous. I want to be this. I want to be. That's all an illusion. And you'd expect somebody who'd been practicing Krishna consciousness for many years to have realized at least that. But the fourth anartha, which is the most difficult of all, is can't be bothered. Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls it weakness of heart. You know what you're meant to do, but the truth is you just can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. I think that's the most difficult one of all. Because there's no one else can help you with that, really, substantially. So, to keep yourself in the fire, if you like, of striving forward in devotional life. And you have to move forward. Guru Maharaj compares, sadhana bhakti to like riding a bicycle. You have to keep pushing those pedals forward. If you don't, if you stop, you can freewheel for some time, but ultimately the momentum will stop and you'll fall off the bike, won't you? If you're not pushing forward, you'll just fall off. So that's what will happen. Then the only way that you can manage to keep that momentum, determination, is association. You have to associate with people who are serious about spiritual life, and hope that some of that will rub off on you. I got a message from Paramananda Prabhu, just returned from South Africa with Maharaj, with Madhusudan Maharaj, and he said, I have to take a little break now. I can't keep up with his momentum. He said it's like he's got a nuclear fusion device inside him or something. And I need to take a little rest now, for a little while. I was like, yeah, I understand that, yeah. And that's also my experience when I've been traveling with Maharaj. He's just like this dynamo. He can't stop, and you're just like, okay.
And he does Zooms at 3 a.m.
I know.
Twice a week.
I know.
But he has so much enthusiasm. He's so enthusiastic, and he loves it so much.
Yeah.
What he's doing, but we actually also we know that it is fantastic and it's beautiful and it is the best. But he has got it.
Yeah.
He's doing it.
And I told. No. Yes. I remember what I was going to say now. No, this we saw in Guru Maharaj. When we came to Guru Maharaj, he's like, in his 80s. He's practically blind. He can't move. He can't do anything, like physically, basically, Although sometimes he did come and join the kirtan and dance in the kirtan, which was incredible. But one day, one of the devotees asked him, one of our sannyasis asked him, "What can we do to please you?" He asked him. That devotee was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So, many times devotees would ask Prabhupada that same question. And I bet you can pretty much guess what his reply was, right? Same reply always was, "Distribute my books, that'll please me." That was his whole thing, right? Distribute my books. In fact, in ISKCON now they're doing their Christmas marathon, book distribution marathon. They do it every year. They do that. It's a very admirable thing. But so maybe he was expecting that Guru Maharaj would say something like that. But when he asked Guru Maharaj, first of all, Guru Maharaj said, "Please me, like why would?" And then he was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you're the disciple, I'm the guru, yeah, okay." So this disciple has to please the guru. Now then he's thinking about it for a few moments, and then he said, "What my life is for, what I have determined to be the desire of my Guru Maharaj, that I want to give every last drop of my blood for that. If you can also do that, that will please me." So, that's a big ask from anybody. And Guru Maharaj knows that, right? Because someone asked him also, "Why do we see so many stalwart devotees going away?" And Guru Maharaj said, it's almost too much to expect that someone will give their whole life for the service of Krishna. It's almost impossible to think that anyone will do every minute of their day for that, for the rest of their life. We may start off enthusiastically wanting to do that, but then other things come, isn't it? Want to live in the moment, but then the moment's gone and then something else is vying for your attention.
And Madhusudan Maharaj is doing that. He's all the time connected there.
Yeah. But for us mere mortals, it's quite hard to keep up with that. Then... And you just think, because every, let's say, expedition goes as fast as your slowest participant, doesn't it? You understand? If you have a group of people and they're all, let's say, going on a hike up in the mountain, it only goes as fast as the slowest person in the group, because you have to consider them, right? So, then when you feel like you're always the slowest person in the group, that can be a little discouraging. I was with Maharaj a few years ago, and we went to...
Island.
No, to Jaipur. And in Jaipur, or just outside Jaipur, there's this place. Is it... I can't remember the name of it. I always forget the name of it. But anyway, it was where the conference took place, where Baladev Vijayabhushan, he presented the Govinda Bhashya to the assembly of the Vaishnavas there, So maybe it's like an hour's coach trip from Jaipur, essentially. And it's at the foot of a mountain. This was the ashram of the Ramanadis is there. And you go there and you can see, at one time it was so beautiful, that place. And now it's fallen into decay, like so many places, you find that. But, like something over here that would have been taken up by English Heritage or, the National Trust, if someone were to restore that, so beautiful, such a beautiful place. But anyway, that's at the foot of the hill, and then you go up the hill to the top of the hill. Mountain, it's a mountain, call it what it is. And there are different temples and things all the way up. And right at the top there's a temple of Surya, of the sun, and it is actually the first place where the sunlight touches in Jaipur in the morning. The first light of the sun touches that temple there, and the history is that the Rajput kings, they would go and worship in that temple before they would go into battle. They would go there and make their prayer and so on. But the only way up is walking. You can walk. It's quite a steep walk, So then and it's the temple's run by a group of ladies. All the priests are women there, and they look after that temple. And it's a beautiful little small temple. Anyway, we're going up the hill, right? So I'm plodding along, and Ishanuga's with me and a few other devotees, and we get about 2/3 of the way up, and my phone rings, and I answer the phone, and it's Madhusudama. He's already at the top, right? He's on the phone. He says, "It's not necessary for you to come all the way up, Prabhu." I'm like, "Maharaj, I'm 2/3 of the way up. Am I just going to turn around now and go back down?" Anyway, they graciously waited for me at the top, and we made it finally. And we had some kirtan there. They liked, the ladies liked the kirtan and everything. It's beautiful, and you can see all of Jaipur. Ishanuga said, "Wow, I thought Jaipur was a small city. It's like huge, Anyway, the pink city. Yeah. Anyway. Is it Raval? Or I forget. Galta, that's it. Yeah, I always forget the name. It's a kind of essential part of the pilgrimage to Jaipur. That's where Baladev. They had a conference there because the Ramanadis they objected to Govindaji's worship being portrayed as the highest worship. They want to say the worship of Narayan is more than Govinda, Krishna. And so the priests at the temple, they invited Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur to come to speak on that subject to prove that Govindaji's worship was higher. And you go to Jaipur, everyone knows Govindaji, right? That's like the whole town. He's the deity of the whole town. If you go to Jaipur and you think that that Vaishnavism, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, is a small religion, a little known religion, when you go there, you will be amazed. I went there during Kartik, and every morning we'd go for the Mangal Arati. The whole city goes there for Mangal Arati. Like everyone. 4:00 in the morning, everyone's there waiting for the curtains to open. There's like an ocean of people, of devotees going through there, and you can, if you don't stand back, you get carried away with these. This is Rupa Goswami's own deity there.
And you see actually on Facebook also the devotees always want to present Rādhā Govindaji with their new outfits and their colors, because
when they open the curtain, finally they open the curtain, and people just throw money. They throw money towards Govindaji, big yodel, coming,
But the devotees who all the time put that on their Facebook, right?
There's one devotee, does that.
But I thought all the time, I thought you,
no,
they all the time go to how Rādhā Govindaji.
There's one particular devotee, but he, copies everybody in on that.
Yeah.
But anyway, then, so the Ramanadis, they're coming from Ramanuja. They're not directly Ramanuja. They're kind of a bit of a deviant from there. But they made this conference. And they invited Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur to speak, but he was too old to go, too old and invalid at that time. So he sent his disciple, Baladev Vidyabhushan. And Baladev came there to the conference and asked to speak, and they said, you can only speak if you can prove that you're a member of one of the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas. So he showed from his spiritual lineage that he was part of Madhva's Sampradaya. So he was allowed to speak. But as he began speaking, after a short time, it became very, very clear that he wasn't speaking Madhvacharya's philosophy. In fact, completely different to Madhvacharya's philosophy. And they were all scholars there, they were all pandits, and they said, whoa, like what? This isn't Madhva's conception. And he said, yes, no, it's true. This is Chaitanya Dev's conception, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conception. This is different to although he appeared in the Sampradaya of Madhvacharya, what he's given is something different and more than Madhva. And they said, well, sorry, we don't recognize Chaitanya's Sampradaya as separate from Madhva's. Then if you want to continue to debate here, you have to show us where is your commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Every Vaishnava Sampradaya has a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, Brahma Sutra. Then you can show that, we'll allow you to continue. But then Baladev said, but Mahaprabhu considered that Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Not any other commentary is necessary. And they said, well, that's very convenient, but we demand that you must have your own commentary before we can allow you to continue. So the debating's going on, and Baladev came away, and he went to the temple of Govindaji, and he expressed his problem there. And then he began composing. Within 1 week, he finished his commentary on Vedanta Sutra, which is known as Govinda Bhasya. Because he said, I didn't write this, Govindaji wrote this through me. It's not possible that someone could make a commentary on Vedanta Sutra in 7 days. Impossible. That's something that takes like a lifetime of work to do. But he did in 7 days, miraculously in 7 days. And he said, this is the Govinda Bhasya because Govindaji wrote this through me. And he returned and presented it to the assembly of Pandits there in Galta. And they said, oh, when they heard his presentation, this is like incredible. We've never heard anything like this before. And they all accepted that this is the genuine commentary on Vedanta Sutra. And from that day, Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya was then recognized as the 5th Vaishnava Sampradaya.
Like what we hear from Mahaprabhu and the Vaishnavas, his associate, that Mahaprabhu's teachings are so high and so great, we don't need the Vedanta, we don't need the Vedas, because Mahaprabhu is going direct to Krishna, direct with the heart, with consciousness there. All these austerities and penances, maybe mantras that are written in the Vedas, in the Vedanta, they are not necessary. So how is it then in the Govinda Bhasya combined?
Well, as I said before, Mahaprabhu considered Srimad Bhagavatam to be the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. But Vedanta Sutra, it's not that it's not necessary, it's that the proper understanding is necessary. The proper, you can say, percolation of the Vedic knowledge is necessary. This is the whole reason why Vedavyas composed Srimad Bhagavatam, because that was his purpose. Vedavyas is considered to be the literary incarnation of the Lord, Krishna. And he understood that with the advent of Kali Yuga, everything is going to be lost. Because previously, even in the Dwapara Yuga, people's intelligence was very fine and their lifespan was much longer. And if you would hear something once, then you remember that completely forever. Today, if you find someone like that, they're considered to be like a savant, who have photographic memory, or something, considered to be an anomaly. But that was everyone at one time. Everyone hears something once, they know. But in Kali Yuga, you can't even remember what you were doing last week, isn't it? The memory is very poor. But in that eidetic memory, it's, they're considered, people like that are considered to be savants, aren't they? They're not ordinary. And but there are still people like that in India. Guru Maharaj, they're called Shrutidhar. They can remember all. Guru Maharaj met one man who knew by heart every single verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So anyway, that's another story. But when Vedavyas, he knew now's the time the Veda has to be written down. If it's not written, it'll be lost forever. No one will be able to remember it. So that was his task, right? He took Ganapati Ganesh as his scribe, and so the Veda was, all of the Vedic thought was compiled at that time. It's not that Vedavyas wrote the Vedas. He compiled them. There are so many different saints and sages, and their compositions make up the Vedic literature. And he made all of that into writing. But when he'd finished, he should have been like, whew, that's it, it's done, fantastic, now I can retire, so to say, But he felt some problem in his heart. He felt, I'm not really feeling that I've accomplished what I was meant to. And understanding that, his Gurudev, Devarshi Narad, came to his ashram, and he told him, Vedavyas told Narad, this is my problem. I've given everything, but I don't feel what I think should be the satisfaction from doing that. And Narad said, yes, you've done it, very good, but you know what? You've made a jungle of knowledge out there. Because the Vedic scripture is so vast that, and there's so many different opinions expressed in there. Somebody who's actually searching for the absolute truth, in a lifetime they won't be able to find it through the Veda. It's too much, it's too big. Especially in Kali Yuga, when people don't live more than 100 years generally. Then no possibility. You've hinted at it. You've given the direction here and there, but the actual goal of the Vedantic knowledge, of the Vedic knowledge, is to give Krishna consciousness. Generally, religion gives us four things: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. All religions teach this. They may not use those words, but Hindu religion, Muslim religion, Christian religion, Jewish religion, they all teach these four principles. Dharma, you do your religious duty, God will be pleased with you and bless you. And when you're blessed by God, you'll get artha. Artha means prosperity. And when you're prosperous, then you can get kama. Not karma, kama. Kama means enjoyment. You can enjoy life. So dharma, artha, kama. And finally, moksha. You'll get your liberation, whatever form that may take according to your religious teaching. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But there's a fifth end of life, and that is Krishna Prema. And you haven't given that clearly. Without that, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha is Kaitabhya. Kaitabhya means cheating. Cheating religion. Because it's not giving the real meaning of human life. So now you have to begin again. Remember, Vedavyas, when he finished that task, he was at his own full spiritual maturity. Can you imagine? He studied, not just studied, but given the meaning of the Veda. All of it. Then, after that, he's like the super guru. He's become like the super guru. He knows everything about Veda, Vedanta, and so on. So in that spiritual maturity, now, maybe he hasn't expressed it clearly, but he knows what is the reality. What is spiritual reality? What is the spiritual well? So Narad told him, you begin your own work, your magnus opus, if you like, your work, not a compilation, your own work. And at the beginning of that Śrīmān Bhagavatam, at the beginning of Śrīmān Bhagavatam, in the first verses, he says that Kaitabhya Dharma is rejected from this. Anything that is superfluous or not necessary for understanding spiritual life is absent here. We don't have any necessity for it. So here it is. From here, it is meant for those who are serious about spiritual life. And this book gives the ultimate goal of life, Krishna Prema. And Narad gave him 4 verses. They're called the Chatushloki. And that's like beej verses, seed verses. Meditate on these and everything will come out. And this is how Śrīmān Bhagavatam was born, if you like, came from that necessity. The percolation of all Vedic knowledge, the cream of all Vedic knowledge. Otherwise, where will you find it? Where will you find the truth? Because there's so many different scriptures that comprise the Veda, and some of them tell different things. Some say that Narayan is supreme. Others say Mahadev Shiva is supreme. Others say that Devi, she's supreme. And others say that impersonal Brahman, that's the supreme. All of these different opinions, like how will you navigate that? An ordinary person, how will they navigate that? Can't. So then Śrīmān Bhagavatam, which is also known as the Amala Purana, the spotless Purana. There's nothing superfluous in there. There's nothing that's unnecessary in Śrīmān Bhagavatam. And that the book itself is capable to give one full self-realization if one studies that under a proper teacher. This is the cream. So it's not to say that the Vedic knowledge is unnecessary. It's just that who's got time for all of that? Here it is, in a condensed form, the actual meaning of the Veda, the actual purpose of the Veda. Śrīmān Bhagavatam. And Mahaprabhu considered that to be the highest of all the scripture, Śrīmān Bhagavatam. So, Bhagavat Shravan, that's considered one of the 5 most important or essential practices in spiritual life. Bhagavat Shravan means to hear Śrīmān Bhagavatam. Essential. There's so many different aspects of devotion, but this is one of the 5 essential things, to hear Śrīmān Bhagavatam, or those scriptures in line with Śrīmān Bhagavatam that explain Śrīmān Bhagavatam. And it means also to serve the Bhagavat devotees of the Lord. This is the purpose of Śrīmān Bhagavatam, and why Śrīmān Bhagavatam came into being, for that reason. But we have to be serious Everyone wants to jump to the 10th canto of Śrīmān Bhagavatam, hear about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. The 10th canto is bigger in volume than all the predecessor 9 and 11 and 12 cantos all put together doesn't equal the 10th canto. But it's necessary to start at canto 1 and study canto 9 up to canto 9 before going to the 10th canto. Otherwise, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that's like jumping for the fruit. It's too high, you can't reach it. You'll just say that they're sour. You know that there's that Aesop's fable, or maybe Panchatantra, where the fox trying to get the fruits, can't reach the grapes, can't reach. They're sour anyway. Or Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, you'll just take the rotten fruits that have fallen from the tree. Oh, that's what those fruits are. You won't be able to, you have to climb the tree to get the best fruits at the top. Climbing the tree means studying the previous 9 cantos of Śrīmān Bhagavatam under a bona fide student or bona fide master of Śrīmān Bhagavatam. Does that answer your question? And we are followers of that. Aspiring to be followers of that. That is very fortunate. We're very fortunate to, if we have some appreciation of that, is a very fortunate thing. So, sorry, I've almost gone an hour over the time.
Śrīmān Devashis Prabhu ki jai.
Very fortunate.
Many challenges.
Yep. Guru Maharaj says, the beautiful rose, why it has so many thorns? Must be a reason. Joy. Aja Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Aja Sri Advaita Giridhārījīu Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jasomati Nandana Rajavardhana
Nityananda
Vrinda ki
Jai.
Jai Vishnupada Prabhu Giridhārījīu Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Bhakti Yoga Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. La Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Jai. Ila Satchidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur ki Jai. Jagannath Bhagavad Maharaj ki Jai. Guru Varga ki Jai. Giridhārījīu Thakur ki Jai. Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Ji Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Bhakta Śrīmān Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Damodar Mandalai ki Jai. AC Bhakti Yoga Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Bhakti Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Yadvaita Gadadhara Sri Gaurāṅga Govinda ki Jai. Bhakti Govardhana Sundar Kalindi Yamuna ji ki Jai. Mati Ganga Yamani ki Jai. Bhakti Maharani ki Jai. Sundar ki Jai. Ki Jai. Mandara ki Jai. Sutam Setatam ki Jai. Bharadeshwar Jagannath ki Jai. Shri Śrīmān ki Jai. Bhakta Gaurāṅga Parat Maharaj ki Jai. Rādhā Bhavadan Chitam Charitam ki Jai. Chitam Saraswati ki Jai. Chitam Saraswati ki Jai. Rādhā Vishnu ki Jai. Rādhā ki Jai. Rādhā ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Jai Bhog